If you guys love the Minnesota Vikings, then show it by liking this video right now. We've got news and rumors on the draft, free agency, and everything going on around Minnesota with the NFL Combine finally here. And if you love Minnesota, then show it by liking this video right now. Welcome into Minnesota Vikings Now by Chat Sports. I am Tom Downey. The NFL Combine is now here, and ESPN's Mel Kiper has released his latest mock draft on the eve of workouts going down. His pick for the Vikings, Derek Stingley, the cornerback from LSU, who if I had said, 3 months ago, he's the pick for Minnesota, the response would have been, oh no, they didn't win a game down the stretch, or oh, they traded up for Derek Stingley. Well, I do think it's a very real possibility that Stingley slides in this year's NFL draft, and I don't think Kiper is wildly out of touch with this particular one. Stingley not working out this week at the NFL Combine, recovering from his Lisfranc foot surgery, which is a bit of a red flag there, hasn't played in 2 years really hasn't played that much, I should say, in 2 years for LSU, but I'd be all aboard this pick. Here's what Kiper wrote. This is the position Minnesota needs most, and Stingley could be worth it. He needs to show teams that he can go back to the way he played in 2019 when he had 6 picks as a true freshman on LSU's national title team. I would love this pick. I think Derek Stingley to Minnesota is, one of the better fits from a personnel perspective, and from Minnesota's standpoint, would be a borderline dream selection. Now, yes, he has missed a lot of time the past 2 years. I understand that. The guy we saw in 2019 was a top 5 lock. He was, I thought, the best corner in all of college football. He could be Jalen Ramsey. That's what Stingley could be. In 2019, he allowed under 40% of the passes his way to be completed. He had 6 interceptions, 15 pass breakups. Yeah, he allowed 624 yards. His career, it's a 40% completion rate. So yes, the past 2 years, he's been injured. Yes, he could slide this year because we haven't seen peak Stingley in 2 years. If we flip his first year and 2019 with his past year, he's the number 1 overall pick, or like a top 5 lock at minimum. Why he could slide? Health and mental makeup are questions. Brian Broaddus, the former NFL executive, ran the Eagles draft back in 2000 or 1999, one of the two there, says there are concerns around Stingley being an alpha, that he needs a big brother. I'll make note, by the way, the perfect big brother exists on Minnesota's roster, at least for another couple weeks here. You re-sign Patrick Peterson to a 1-year deal and draft Derek Stingley? It's a perfect scenario. Now, you got Cameron Danzler there too. That's not a huge deal, so I got to figure out nickel. I get all of that. I think Minnesota could be a great destination for Derek Stingley. I would be all aboard that pick. Some other notable names who were on it. Trent McDuffie was CB3 off the board with Sauce Gardner gone. A bunch of the receivers were still there. Not a big need, but that also means that the best edge was David Ojabo, so a little bit thinner at that other big position of need for Minnesota. So grade this pick for me. You kind of know where I'm going. A, B, C, D, or F. Head down to the comment section. Let me know if the Vikings took Derek Stingley, what grade you guys would give it. The Combine always has their press conferences for various head coaches, GMs, and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah had his on Tuesday for the Minnesota Vikings. Various topics, the job, the coaching staff, the process of building. He said he's focused on analytics when making decisions. He also spoke about several players with some potential uncertainty about their futures, including Kirk Cousins. He was the subject of many questions for Adofo-Mensah at the Combine. Here's what Kwesi had to say. Cousins is an incredibly consistent passer. I don't think people realize that every play kind of has a result built into it, right? Based on factors he can't control. And I think what you know about Kirk is when the odds are shifted in his favor, he gets the most out of it, right? I think people don't appreciate that skill enough. I think it's actually a pretty good way to describe Cousins. When the odds are in his favor, he plays pretty well. And that's why he's had good production, is getting paid so much, because when things are going well, the production is pretty decent. And allegedly, part of what Mike Zimmer was upset about was that Cousins didn't make enough plays when the odds were not stacked in his favor. Remember, I think Kirk Cousins is a good NFL QB. I just don't know if he's good enough. And I think that's, in a positive sense, also what Kwesi was saying about the Vikings QB, who is now in the final year of his deal. And it is decision time when it comes to, do you want to have him play under a $45 million cap hit? I'm not so sure. Danielle Hunter also has question marks around his future. He's missed so much time in recent years, but he's so good when he's out there. Hunter's got a bit of a tricky contract situation. Kwesi was asked about Hunter as well. Here's what he said. Quote, he's a really good football player. And to build championship teams, you need a lot of really good football players. Again, I think Adofo-Mensah's spot on here. I would keep Hunter this year. I do not want to move on from him. I know that the contract is tricky. I know that he wants a new deal as well. The injuries are a very valid concern. But if Hunter's not on your roster, as Minnesota moves to a more typical 3-4 front, could look something like this. There are, of course, some changes to be had in terms of the roster construction. Everson Griffin's a free agent. You trust Patrick Jones and Janarius Robinson and DJ Wonham and Kenny Willekes, all taken to be more of a 4-3 front type, to be your edges? I don't at all. I think that's a not great idea from that perspective. In only 7 games last year, Hunter was on pace to put himself in contention for various awards. 6 sacks, 10 QB hits in only those 7 games. When he has been out there, he has been a premier pass rusher. It is very difficult to find players at the talent level of Hunter in the draft or free agency or trade market. I would like to keep him if you trust the health. If not, it's a different conversation at that point. So what do you think is the biggest need for the Vikings this offseason? Corner might be your biggest immediate need with 2 of your top 3 guys, free agents, the other being Cam Dantzler. I think that's a good option. But let me know what you guys think. Sound off for me in the comments right now. St. Patrick's Day is just around the corner, and if you want some St. Patrick's Day gear, head over to chatsports.com/VikingsGreen. You can find, green T-shirts, green hoodies that will give a little bit of a Celtic flair maybe for Minnesota and the Vikings here. Chatsports.com/VikingsGreen. I'll put that link in the comment section and in the description for you guys today. Spend some more time now on Kirk Cousins. Did Kevin O'Connell, the head coach, did Cousins lobby for him to be the man? That's the report, the rumors from Paul Allen and others, that Cousins spent a lot of time lobbying for O'Connell to the next head coach. And, of course, there's a connection there that O'Connell was Cousins' QB coach back when they were with the Washington, now Commanders. Doesn't appear, based on the quotes going on around out there, that Cousins is going anywhere. Here's what Paul Allen said. Quote, Kirk put a lot of time into getting Kevin O'Connell hired and put a lot of time behind the scenes with those who hire. Okay, so now there's that. And O'Connell is glowing to a certain extent, along with the new offensive coordinator, Wes Phillips of Kirk. So you lay those things out right there, and it does seem to indicate that Cousins would be staying in Minnesota. Typically, when you hire a coach with ties to your QB, that's a good indication. But the contract is a problem. This is not a young Kirk Cousins or a Kirk Cousins in year 2 of 3 or 2 of 4, in year 2 of 4 of his deal. He's in the final year of his deal, and it's expensive, $45 million cap hit. Does this regime, even with O'Connell in charge, want to tie themselves to Kirk Cousins long term? That's what you would do if you extended his deal. I think Minnesota should at least look at QB options. Now, you got to do it smart, right? You got to do it behind the scenes, under the radar. You can't let word get out because that's not going to look good for Cousins. But even though I don't think the big names end up becoming available, I'd at least look around. And hell, if you want to rebuild, which I don't know if this regime wants to do so, but if you want to shop Cousins for draft picks, I don't hate that idea either. I think it's smart for all NFL organizations to explore their various options. That's all I'm suggesting there, because Cousins hasn't proved he's the guy, I think, truly. Now, I think he can be, but he hasn't proved it at this point. So I want you to be honest with me. Do you think, because we don't know if we're being truthful here, do you think that Kirk Cousins is the guy in Minnesota? Y for yes or N for no? If you guys want more free Vikings videos, you've come to the right place. Hit that big red button and subscribe right now.